What if I told you that the biggest reason most people never escape poverty isn't a lack of money? It's something far more dangerous. Something they carry with them every single day. Because poverty doesn't just empty your wallet. It changes the way you think. It changes the way you make decisions. It changes what you believe is possible. And the worst part? Most people don't even realize it's happening. By the end of this video, you'll understand why poverty isn't just a financial condition. It's often a psychological trap. And once you see it, you'll never look at money the same way again. Most people think poverty begins when your income is too low. But that's only the surface. The real problem begins when your mind becomes trapped in survival mode. Imagine waking up every day wondering whether your money will last until the end of the week. Whether you'll be able to pay rent. Whether you can afford food, transportation, or an unexpected emergency. When these thoughts become your daily reality, your brain stops thinking about the future. It becomes obsessed with today. To someone living comfortably, investing money or learning a new skill might seem like an obvious decision. But to someone constantly fighting to survive, tomorrow feels too far away. When you're trying not to drown, you don't think about learning to sail. You just want to keep your head above the water. That's the hidden problem. Poverty doesn't only reduce your options. It reduces the mental space available to see new ones. And that changes everything. Psychologists have long studied what happens when people experience scarcity, the feeling that something essential is always in short supply. It could be money, time, food, or security. Researchers have found that scarcity captures attention so powerfully that it can crowd out other thoughts. When your brain is consumed by immediate needs, long-term planning becomes much harder. It's not because people suddenly become less intelligent, it's because the urgent demands of today leave less mental bandwidth for tomorrow. Imagine trying to read an important book while a fire alarm is blaring beside you. Could you concentrate? Probably not. That's what constant financial stress can feel like. Your brain keeps asking, how will I pay this bill? What if I lose my job? What if an emergency happens? These questions repeat day after day until they become the soundtrack of your life. Over time, survival stops being a temporary situation. It becomes your default way of thinking. And when survival becomes your identity, escaping poverty becomes far more difficult than simply earning more money. But scarcity is only the beginning. Because another invisible force is working behind the scenes. A force that quietly shapes how you spend, save, and even dream. And for many people, it started long before they earned their first paychecks. Most people think they decide how they feel about money. The truth is, many of those decisions were made long before they even understood what money was. As children, we absorb far more than words. We absorb emotions. We watch how our parents react when bills arrive. We notice the arguments that start whenever money is mentioned. We hear phrases repeated so often that they become part of our identity. Money doesn't grow on trees. Rich people are greedy. People like us will always struggle. At first, they're just sentences. But over time, they become beliefs. And beliefs become filters. You no longer see the world as it is. You see it through the story you've been telling yourself for years. Here's a simple example. Imagine two people are offered the exact same opportunity to learn a valuable skill that could increase their income. One person thinks, this could change my future. The other immediately thinks, people like me never get lucky. It's probably a waste of time. The opportunity was identical. The mindset wasn't. And that single difference changes what each person does next. One takes action. The other walks away before they've even started. That's the power of belief. Not because belief magically creates success, but because belief influences behavior. And behavior, repeated over time, shapes outcomes. Psychologists call this a self-fulfilling prophecy. When people strongly expect a particular outcome, they often behave in ways that make that outcome more likely. If you believe you'll fail, you may never prepare properly. If you believe success isn't for people like you, you may never pursue opportunities that could prove you wrong. Eventually, your expectations appear to come true, not because they were destined to, but because they quietly influenced your choices along the way. This is one of the most dangerous psychological traps of poverty. Not the lack of money, the lack of possibility. Then there's something even more subtle. Have you ever noticed that some people feel guilty the moment they begin making more money? It sounds strange. After all, isn't that what everyone wants? Not always. When your identity has been built around struggle, success can feel unfamiliar. And the human brain prefers what is familiar, even when it's painful. That's why some people unknowingly sabotage themselves. They overspend. They avoid opportunities. They settle for less than they're capable of. Not because they enjoy struggling, but because deep down, struggle feels normal. And normal feels safe. Your identity is like an invisible thermostat. Whenever your life starts moving beyond what you believe you deserve, your mind often tries to pull you back to what's familiar. Think about that. Even small actions matter. Learning a valuable skill. Reading instead of endlessly scrolling. Saving a small amount consistently. Building relationships with people who encourage growth. These habits won't change your life overnight. But they slowly change the person making financial decisions. And that's where lasting change begins. The third step is protecting your environment. Because your mind is constantly absorbing the beliefs of the people around you. If everyone around you believes success is impossible, eventually, you'll stop believing in it too. But when you surround yourself with people who value learning, discipline, and long-term thinking, those behaviors begin to feel normal. Your environment won't decide your future, but it will influence the direction you're walking. Choose it carefully. Here's the truth most people never hear. Escaping poverty isn't just about earning more. It's about thinking differently, making different decisions, and repeating those decisions until they become habits. Money can disappear. Opportunities can come and go. But the psychology behind your choices follows you everywhere. Change that, and you begin changing your future. So, why do most people never escape poverty? Not because they're lazy. Not because they lack dreams. And certainly not because they deserve to struggle. For many, years of scarcity, stress, repeated setbacks, and limiting beliefs quietly reshape how they see the world and the choices they make. Understanding those patterns doesn't erase the real barriers people face. But it does reveal something powerful. The invisible prison isn't always the lack of money. Sometimes, it's the beliefs that tell you nothing can ever change. And the moment you begin questioning those beliefs, you may have already taken the first step toward breaking the cycle. If this video changed the way you think, let me ask you one question. What's one belief about money you've carried for years that you now want to challenge? Leave your answer in the comments. Because the most powerful prison is the one you never realize you're living in. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the hidden psychology behind human behavior, subscribe to Hidden Minds for more documentaries that reveal the unseen forces shaping our lives. Until next time, keep exploring your hidden mind.